The eyelids of the older brotherly trembled slightly, indicating the ideological battle he was waging in his heart. After a moment, he opened his eyes, fixing them on the pill Hanli held, with a feverish expression. Hanli silently handed him the pill, watching as he swallowed it and delicately removed the silver needles from his body. As the needles were removed, the effects of the pills took hold. Brother Li's pale face gained an abnormal flush, his body trembling and low groans escaping his lips. Even as he tried to suppress the pain, his roars echoed through the surroundings. With time, the roars ceased, his body calmed, and color returned to his face. Sitting down to meditate, the older brother Li began the recovery process, while Hanli found a place to rest. After the meal, older brother Li suddenly drew a knife and held it to Hanli's throat, demanding a reason not to kill him. Hanli calmly reminded him that he had just saved his life. After a venomous oath from Hanli, brother Li lowered the knife and thanked him for saving his life. Hanli, reflecting on the consequences of his actions, decided not to interfere in others' affairs without sufficient benefit and guaranteed safety. In gratitude, Li Feiyu offered his help to Hanli whenever needed. Hanli, in turn, noticed Li Feiyu's difficult situation and offered relief for his pain, promising to prepare a remedy for him. With enthusiasm, Li Feiyu accepted the offer, and Hanli arranged to meet to deliver the remedy. After the conversation, Hanli revealed his name and suggested that Li Feiyu call him Junior Brother Han, thus avoiding the discomfort of treating him formally. Hanli silently observed as Li Feiyu walked away after scheduling the appointment to obtain the medicine the following noon. He accepted Li Feiyu's farewells, who promised to come back and take care of him. Hanli never inquired about the reason behind the secret medicine Li Feiyu was taking. He knew that no matter what he asked, he couldn't change the past. Li Feiyu, also known as Elder Brother Li, seemed willing to carry his burdens alone, preferring to keep his troubles secret. Hanli acknowledged this and respected his choice. Li Feiyu wasn't someone who would easily give up on life, even when facing difficulties. If he decided to keep his battles private, Hanli would respect that and only observe the scars that would inevitably come. As he departed, Li Feiyu noticed that Hanli didn't insist on knowing the reason behind the medicine. This empathetic attitude touched Li Feiyu, although he didn't express his gratitude in words. Hanli knew he owed him for this gesture. Determined to fulfill his part of the agreement, Hanli would not only keep Li Feiyu's secrets but also work on a medicine to alleviate his pain when he returned to the Valley of the Gods. He was aware that Li Feiyu, with his constant improvement in martial arts, might eventually need his help. Helping someone who wasn't ill-intentioned was something Hanli found gratifying. Even if Li Feiyu didn't need immediate assistance, Hanli hoped his act of kindness would remain in Li Feiyu's mind. Upon returning to the Valley of the Gods, Hanli immediately began preparing the secret medicine. Though the ingredients were easily found in the valley's herb garden, the preparation process was delicate and required care. After an afternoon of hard work, Hanli managed to prepare enough of the medicine for a year. He deliberately limited the quantity, hoping it would ensure that Li Feiyu continued to return annually, thus maintaining their connection. At night, Hanli found himself thinking about his family. It had been over 4 years since he left them. Training routines kept him busy, and he rarely had time to dwell on family matters. However, his uncle Zhang's annual letters, though brief, brought comforting news about his family's well-being. Despite this, Hanli noticed a shift in how his family treated him in the letters, becoming more respectful and formal. Initially, this unsettled him, but over time, he grew accustomed to this new dynamic. That night, as he gazed at the starry sky, Hanli felt a wave of nostalgia for his family. He touched the amulet he carried with him, seeking some spiritual comfort. However, instead, he felt restless and unable to calm down. A sense of depression engulfed him, accompanied by a strange energy in his body. Hanli realized something was wrong and decided to take action. After a brief search, he identified the small leather pouch as the possible cause of his troubles. With determination, Hanli disposed of it, but his symptoms persisted. Realizing that something else was amiss, Hanli struggled to control his emotions and address the issue at its roots. Hanli felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension as he witnessed the extraordinary transformation of the rabbits. That small drop of green liquid in the bottle now seemed to contain an unknown and frightening power. As the rabbits continued to swell, his mind raced to comprehend the possible ramifications of this discovery. Initially, the idea of using live animals in experiments caused him some moral discomfort. However, his scientific curiosity and the prospect of unraveling the secrets behind the mysterious bottle outweighed his hesitations. He knew that to fully understand the potential of the substance, it was necessary to observe its reactions in a living organism. Hanli watched with fascination as the rabbits continued to swell, their forms distorting and expanding beyond recognition. There seemed to be an intense life force pulsating within them, transforming them into grotesquely deformed creatures. As the rabbits grew, Hanli noticed their movements becoming awkward and uncoordinated, as if struggling to adapt to their new size and shape. He wondered if this metamorphosis was irreversible or if there was a way to restore the rabbits to their original form. Meanwhile, the herb garden around them was silent, as if the plants were observing the scene with quiet curiosity. Hanli wondered if the substance could have similar effects on other living beings besides rabbits. He pondered the possibility of conducting additional experiments on different species to better understand the extent of its properties. Despite his initial excitement, Hanli also felt a pang of concern. He wondered if meddling with unknown forces could bring unforeseen and potentially dangerous consequences. However, his thirst for knowledge and desire to unravel the mysteries of the substance propelled him forward. As the rabbits continued to grow before him, Hanli knew he had opened a door to a world of infinite possibilities. He was determined to explore every aspect of this discovery, even if it meant facing unknown challenges and unexpected dangers. As the sun set on the horizon, casting a golden light over the herb garden, Hanli remained absorbed in his thoughts, contemplating the uncertain future unfolding before him. He knew he was about to embark on a journey filled with discoveries and dangers, but he was determined to face each challenge with courage and determination. With a sense of excitement and anticipation pulsing in his chest, Hanli prepared to dive headfirst into the unknown, knowing that every step he took brought him closer to the truth and understanding. And so, as the rabbits continued to grow around him, he prepared to face the future with courage and determination, ready to unravel the secrets of the green liquid that had changed his life forever. Watching the rabbit in front of him continue to grow and swell, Hanli immediately realized that something was wrong. A memory struck him suddenly, like lightning cutting through the dark night sky. Without hesitation, he hurled the porcelain bowl containing a mixture of ingredients, known for their poisonous properties, away. The container shattered on the ground, sending its contents hurtling towards the earth. Just 10 meters from the rabbit, Hanli abruptly stopped, his survival instinct warning him of imminent danger. Before he could even consider looking back, two deafening explosions echoed almost simultaneously, tearing through the air violently. A chill ran down Hanli's spine as he finally turned to face the devastation. What he saw was terrible. The two rabbits, now separated, had been torn apart by the explosion. Their mangled bodies lay scattered on the ground, surrounded by pools of blood and chunks of flesh. The spot where they had been tied now bore two craters, around which the remains were grotesquely dispersed. Taking a deep breath to calm his nerves, Hanli sank to the ground. He knew that if he hadn't reacted so quickly, he could have been caught in the tumult of the explosion. Although he wasn't seriously injured, the thought of being covered in rabbit blood and flesh made him nauseous. Once his breathing steadied, Hanli got up and approached the newly formed craters. He observed the carnage before him, then glanced away to the broken porcelain bowl, now lying amidst the remains of medicinal herbs. A sense of bewilderment and horror washed over him. He had hoped to find a miracle in that green liquid, but he never imagined the reality would be so brutal. The poison had revealed itself, leaving the rabbits in a state of indescribable suffering. Hanli decided to avoid any contact with those substances for now. Their dangerous nature was more than evident. Despite his experience with lethal poisons, acquired through Dr. Mo's teachings over the years, Hanli had never witnessed such a horrific outcome. However, his psychological resilience kept him steady, allowing him to stay calm as he planned his next move. With noon approaching, Hanli decided to deliver the secret remedy he had prepared for Brother Li. He would leave him to handle the funeral affairs at the site. With that thought in mind, Hanli set off towards Li's residence, carrying the precious medicine with him. His arrival was timely, coinciding with noon. Li Feiyu, visibly anxious, awaited his arrival in the valley. Hanli found him alone, dressed in a white tunic and carrying a long knife on his back. The relief on his face at seeing Hanli did not go unnoticed. "You're punctual, Brother Han. Half an hour has passed since noon, I was starting to worry," Li Feiyu joked as he gratefully received the medicine. Hanli apologized for the delay, attributing it to the time needed to prepare the medicine. After exchanging words, he bid farewell to the older Brother Li, who eagerly set off to experience the effects of the remedy. Back in his own refuge, Hanli devoted himself to cleaning up the medicine garden. He swept away the traces of the tragedy, burying the rabbit remains and broken bowls in the newly created craters. As he observed the result of his work, a doubt arose in his mind. He remembered the moment when the diluted water in the porcelain bowl spilled onto the nearby medicinal herbs. Could that water have turned the plants into something dangerous? Hanli decided to wait, turning this uncertainty into a potential experiment. After hours of meticulous practice, Hanli realized his frustration. Despite his efforts, he had not advanced in his technique. The need to find a solution to this stagnation haunted him. With Dr. Mo's return in mind, Hanli held on to the hope of obtaining more medicinal materials. With his help, he believed he could overcome the obstacles on his path to progress. The next morning, Hanli awoke before dawn, propelled by restless curiosity that drove him towards the medicinal herb garden. He wanted to check if the remarkable changes that had occurred in the plants persisted. As he approached the field, a mix of intense aromas enveloped him, announcing the presence of medicinal herbs. Surprised, Hanli quickened his pace, his heart stirred with the possibility of what he might find. Finally, he reached the few herbs emitting a vigorous fragrance. Could it be, he wondered, examining the plants closely. He couldn't believe what he saw. The herbs, which were young and vibrant just a day before, now exhibited characteristics of mature plants, as if they had aged a decade overnight. The dragon grass leaves are purple, the lotus flower has bloomed with 9 petals, and the wangyu fruit peel is dark, exclaimed Hanli, unable to contain his excitement. His mind raced with possibilities. If he could replicate this process, he would have an infinite source of valuable medicinal herbs at his disposal. However, before celebrating, Hanli knew he needed to test the effectiveness and safety of these plants. Thus, he began a series of meticulous experiments. He harvested the herbs, prepared remedies, and fed them to 2 gray rabbits, carefully observing any signs of toxicity. At night, he eagerly awaited the manifestation of the green liquid in the mysterious flask, but nothing happened. Disheartened, he realized that the overcast sky might be the reason for the flask's lack of response. Determined, he decided to try again when the weather conditions were more favorable. However, days passed, and the sky remained cloudy, turning into persistent rain. Hanli felt increasingly frustrated with the situation. While the rabbits continued to thrive, he struggled with uncertainty about the flask and the unpredictability of the weather. Despite promising results with the rabbits, Hanli couldn't find peace of mind. The solution to the mystery of the flask and the influence of the weather became obscure and insurmountable, leaving him deeply disheartened.